My parents called my son a parasite after I refused to help them financially, even though they had stolen my inheritance years ago. Before I continue, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a story, and leave a like on this video. I never imagined my own parents could steal from me. But they did. My name isn't important, but what happened when I turned 17 completely changed what I thought family loyalty meant. My grandmother was the only one who truly understood me. While my parents focused entirely on my older brother's football success and college plans, she spent hours talking to me about books, dreams, and life. She taught me how to bake, helped with schoolwork, and made me feel valued when everyone else treated me as invisible. When she passed away from cancer during my junior year, I was devastated. I spent every afternoon at the hospital, reading to her, holding her hand, and trying to bring comfort. My parents rarely came. When they did, they mostly complained about parking or how much time the visits took. At her funeral, I felt empty. My parents were whispering about bills instead of grieving. 3 days later, a lawyer contacted us with news that left me speechless. My grandmother had changed her will 6 months before she died, leaving me $100,000. He read a letter from her aloud, and her words stayed with me forever. My dearest granddaughter, this money is for your future, your education, your dreams. I've seen how your parents favor your brother while overlooking you. I know they'll try to take this from you. Don't let them. This is my love made real. Use it to build the life you deserve. Her letter continued, I hate to say this, but I don't trust your parents with money. They've borrowed from me many times for your brother's expenses, always promising to repay, but never did. They see money as something owed to them, not earned. Protect yourself, sweetheart. Remember, blood doesn't always mean family, and family doesn't always mean love. Sitting there at 17, holding that check, I should have felt excited, but all I felt was fear. Deep down, I knew Grandma was right. Since I was still a minor, the money had to be placed in trust until I turned 18 in 2 months. My parents immediately offered to be the trustees, using words like responsibility and family duty, saying it was what Grandma would have wanted. I wanted to believe them so badly. Despite the voice in my head warning me otherwise, I agreed. That choice haunted me for years. My 18th birthday should have been a celebration. Instead, it became the day I learned how easily parents can lie. That evening, they called me into the living room. My dad started with a rehearsed speech about how Grandma would have wanted the money used for the good of the family. My mom's eyes filled with tears as she said my brother's food truck business just needed a little help to succeed. Then came the blow. We invested all the money into your brother's business, Dad said. It'll pay off for all of us. I felt my world collapse. You invested my inheritance? That was meant for college. Dad snapped. We're your parents. We know what's best for the family. You'll benefit too when his business succeeds. I reminded them. Grandma's letter specifically warned against this. Mom brushed it off, claiming Grandma was just confused near the end. I was shaking with anger. She understood perfectly. She knew you'd do this. Dad shouted, Don't talk about your grandmother like that. And don't be ungrateful. We raised you, fed you, clothed you. You owe us. I owe you for doing your job as parents? I said. That was my money, my future. It's part of the family investment now, Mom said coldly. All. Stop being dramatic. You'll get your share when your brother's business succeeds. That night, I called the lawyer. His words hit me like a punch. "I'm sorry," he said. "Since your parents were trustees, they had legal authority to invest the money. But the business has already failed. The money is gone. $100,000. Gone. My brother's business lasted 4 months before going bankrupt. I later read the filing. Expensive equipment, poor location, and excessive operational costs. In other words, reckless spending. I confronted my parents again, but they showed no remorse. "These things happen in business," Mom said. Dad shrugged. "He'll bounce back. Maybe his next idea will work." Their indifference broke something inside me. I realized I'd always be the backup plan, the one expected to sacrifice for their golden child. That night, I reread Grandma's letter and understood it fully. I packed my things, clothes, books, photos, her letter, and left behind everything they'd ever be. The next morning, I told them I was leaving. "You can't just walk away from family," Dad said. "Family doesn't steal from each other," I replied. "Grandma was my family. You're just people I share DNA with." They laughed, saying I'd be back within a week. I wasn't. I found a tiny basement apartment for $400 a month. The landlord let me pay weekly after hearing my story. I worked multiple part-time jobs, cleaning offices, working at a bookstore, and grocery shifts on weekends. Every paycheck felt like a small victory. The next 4 years were grueling but transformative. I worked 3 jobs while attending community college, sleeping barely 5 hours a night. My apartment had a mattress, a hot plate, and not much else. But I was independent. My parents never checked on me, though they complained on social media about my selfishness. My brother was already on his next big idea, fully funded by my parents again. Despite everything, I kept going. Community college led to a scholarship at a state university. I studied business and education, worked at the campus library, and lived cheaply. My grades were excellent because I knew this was my only chance. After graduation, I got several job offers and accepted one at a marketing firm in Denver. It paid $38,000 a year, and to me, that felt like winning the lottery. That night, I wrote a letter to Grandma, thanking her for everything. I promised to live by the values she taught me: integrity and self-respect. At graduation, watching other students celebrate with their families stung, but I remembered Grandma's words. Sometimes being alone is better than being surrounded by people who don't truly see you. Moving to Denver marked a new beginning. The marketing firm became my new home, a place where hard work was recognized. I gave everything I had, stayed late, and proved myself. By 25, I was managing my own accounts. By 30, I was a senior manager earning 6 figures. Then, I met my future husband at a company event. He was everything my family wasn't: kind, patient, and genuine. When I told him my story, he listened quietly and said, "Your grandmother would be proud of what you've built." We married 2 years later. His family welcomed me with open arms, showing me what real love and support looked like. When our son was born 6 years ago, I finally understood Grandma's protective love. Now I'm 36, earning $350,000 a year as a marketing director. We own a beautiful home, and our 12-year-old son is thriving, smart, confident, and happy. We encourage his dreams the way Grandma encouraged mine. My parents, on the other hand, have been absent from my life. No contact, no congratulations, not even curiosity. Until recently, when my son turned 8, I got a Facebook message from my mother. "We found your profile. You have a son?" He's our grandson, too. Family should stay connected. Your father isn't getting any younger. My husband warned me. They want something. Still, curiosity got the better of me. I replied, "You lost the right to call yourself my family when you stole my inheritance. My son doesn't need grandparents who value money over love." Her response came fast. "That was years ago. We made mistakes. Your grandmother would want us to reconcile." Her mention of grandma made my stomach twist. I looked them up online and found my brother bankrupt again, living with them at 40. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet my mother. She looked older, but still carried that same sense of entitlement. Her first words weren't an apology, they were complaints about how hard it had been to find me. "We've missed so much of your life," she said. "And our grandson, we don't even know him." "You had 18 years to reach out," I replied. "Why now?" she sighed. "Can't a mother want to reconnect? Family is important, especially as we age. Life is fragile." For a moment, she almost sounded sincere, until she mentioned their financial problems. "Your brother has been having a tough time lately. The economy has taken a heavy toll on small businesses, and your father's medical expenses keep increasing. We're not asking for charity, but as your grandmother used to say, family should help family." And there it was, the real reason for their sudden interest in reconnecting. "How much?" I asked directly. She looked surprised by my bluntness. "It's not about money, it's about family." "With you, it's always about money," I replied. "So, how much do you need this time?" "Well, since you insist on talking about finances," she said carefully, "we could use some help with our immediate bills. Maybe around 10,000, just to get caught up. Nothing too major for someone in your position." I almost laughed. $10,000 was nothing major? That was more than I lived on for an entire year during college. "I'll need to think about it," I said, getting up to leave. "Don't take too long," she called after me as I walked away. Time is a luxury not everyone can afford. When I got home, my husband was furious. "They ignored you for 18 years, and now that they need money, suddenly they're family again? Don't give them a penny," he said firmly. His anger made sense. He had watched me struggle for years to accept the distance and silence from my own parents. To him, their sudden concern wasn't love, it was convenience. Still, part of me couldn't silence the hope that maybe, after all this time, things were finally changing. I wanted to believe that their apology was real, that perhaps they regretted how they had treated me. I told myself that maybe this time wasn't about money, that maybe they truly wanted to rebuild our relationship. I thought about my son, about how he'd never met his grandparents, and how I'd always felt a quiet sadness about that. Maybe this was a chance to give him what I never had, a sense of family connection, even if it came with complications. So despite my hesitation, I found myself wanting to believe in something better. I wanted to believe they were reaching out because they cared, not because they were desperate. Maybe, I told myself, they had finally realized what really mattered. Maybe they had changed. Maybe they genuinely wanted to know their grandson. In the end, I decided to send them $5,000 with a clear note. "This is a one-time gift, not a loan. Please use it wisely." Their gratitude lasted all of 3 weeks before the next request arrived. That single act of goodwill turned into a cycle of emotional pressure and financial demands. First, It was $2,000 for car repairs. Then, another $3,000 for my brother's job training course. Soon after, $1,500 for medical copays. Each message carried the same tone of guilt and manipulation. Talks of family loyalty, of grandma's wishes, and of how my son deserved to know his extended family. My husband grew increasingly upset as he watched the pattern repeat. "You're not helping them," he said. "You're enabling them. They don't see you as family. They see you as a bank account." He wasn't wrong. Still, I held on to the hope that if I helped them just a little longer, maybe they'd finally get back on their feet. I convinced myself that if I gave enough, eventually they'd stop asking. I wanted so badly for my son to have grandparents, even imperfect ones. I wanted him to experience the kind of family bond that I never had. Over the next 2 years, I sent nearly $30,000 in total. Each payment made with the same condition: this will be the last one. But the requests never really ended. Then one afternoon, everything changed. My phone rang while I was at work. It was my mother, sobbing uncontrollably. "Your father's in the hospital," she cried. "He's had a massive heart attack. The doctors don't know if he'll make it." My heart dropped. No matter what had happened between us, I didn't want him to die. "Which hospital?" I asked quickly. "I'll leave right now." "Wait," she said, her tears suddenly quieter. "There's more. The hospital bills are going to be enormous. Our insurance has huge deductibles. But that's not even the worst part. We're going to lose the house." "Lose the house? What do you mean?" I asked, confused. "We took out a second mortgage a few years ago to help your brother with his business," she admitted. "Now we've fallen behind on payments. With your father unable to work, we just can't catch up. The bank's foreclosing. We need $300,000 within 60 days, or we'll be homeless." The number hit me like a punch to the chest. $300,000, more than 5 times what they'd taken from me years ago. "Mom, I don't have that kind of money just lying around," I said slowly. "That's an enormous amount." "But you make good money now," she pleaded. "Surely you could get a loan or borrow against your house. We're desperate. We're going to lose everything." "Have you looked at other options?" I asked. "Bankruptcy? Refinancing? Selling the house? Downsizing?" "We can't sell," she said immediately. "We owe more than it's worth because of the second mortgage, and bankruptcy would destroy our credit forever. You're our only hope." Her voice was filled with genuine panic, but beneath it, I recognized a familiar pattern. The same poor decisions followed by another call for rescue. "I need to discuss this with my husband," I told her. "We'll see what's possible." "Please don't take too long," she said softly. "The foreclosure process moves fast, and we're almost out of time." That night, my husband and I had the most serious conversation of our marriage. He was firm. We can't risk our son's college savings and our future to fix their mistakes. They've already proven they can't manage money responsibly. They stole your inheritance for your brother's failed business, and now they've lost their house for another one. When will it stop? He was right, but the thought of my parents losing their home still tore at me. Despite everything, they were the people who had raised me. "What if I go down there and talk to them in person?" I said after a long pause. "Maybe there's something we can do, some other solution. At least I'll understand the full situation before we make a decision." My husband's expression shifted through shock, disbelief, and finally, quiet anger. They had just called our 12-year-old son a parasite simply because he was my priority. His face hardened with fury. "What about our son?" he asked, voice trembling with restraint. I sat down on the couch and told him everything. Their unreasonable demands, manipulations, and the cruel insults that ended it all. Trying to keep some kind of relationship with them even after what they did. But nothing has changed. They still see me as their bank account, and they'd even insult our child to get what they want. "So what do you want to do?" he asked. I sat quietly for a long time, letting the anger, pain, and sudden clarity settle. I want to honor Grandma's memory by protecting our family from people like them, and I never want them to have the power to hurt us again. "What does that mean, exactly?" he asked cautiously. I picked up my phone. "Well, their house is in foreclosure. They owe $300,000, and time's running out." "You're not thinking about giving them the money after what they said?" "No," I said with a calm but sharp smile. "I'm thinking of something else entirely." For the next hour, I researched foreclosure laws, property values, and real estate investment strategies. The more I found, the clearer my plan became. "Their house is worth about $400,000, I explained. "They owe $300,000. If I buy it at the foreclosure auction, I'll own it outright for around $320,000, including fees." "And then?" my husband asked. "Then I become their landlord. I'll offer them a lease with clear conditions, market rate rent, on-time payments, and full respect for the property. If they fail to meet the terms, they'll be evicted." He stared for a moment, then laughed. "That's genius. You're saving their house, but on your terms. It's also a solid investment. If they don't cooperate, you can rent it or sell it later. And if they refuse? Then they move out. I'll have given them a fair solution, just not a free bailout." That evening, we went through every detail. I contacted a real estate attorney to understand the legal process and prepare for the auction. It would be tight, but possible. She was never cruel. The more I thought about it, the more it felt like something Grandma would have done. Consequences. This plan protected my family's finances while still giving my parents a chance if they were willing to act responsibly. The next morning, my son came home from his sleepover, happily talking about video games and snacks. Looking at his bright, innocent face, I felt confident about my decision. This child would grow up knowing he was loved and protected, never insulted or used. "Mom, are you okay?" he asked, noticing my thoughtful look. "I'm perfect, sweetheart. Just thinking about how much I love you." He rolled his eyes with shy amusement, but his hidden smile said it all. That afternoon, I called the attorney to prepare for the auction and contacted a property management firm to handle the rental later. It was time to stop playing defense and start making smart moves, just like Grandma taught me. 3 weeks later, the foreclosure auction was set for a Tuesday morning. I flew in the night before, staying near the courthouse to finalize everything with my attorney. "Are you absolutely sure about this?" she asked again. "It's a major financial step, and dealing with family can get complicated." "I'm sure," I said firmly. "This isn't revenge. It's about setting healthy boundaries and offering a fair solution." The auction was quick and businesslike. Several bidders showed interest, but I had set my limit at $350,000. We secured the property for $315,000 plus fees. I now owned my parents' house. The hardest part came next, the phone call. "Mom, it's me," I began. "I wanted to let you know that I bought your house at the foreclosure auction." A long silence followed. "You did what?" she finally asked. "I bought the house. The bank no longer owns it. The foreclosure is over." "I don't understand. Are you giving it back to us?" "Not exactly. I'm offering you a lease so you can continue living there." Rent would be $1,800 a month, below market value, with standard maintenance and payment terms. Another silence. You're making us rent our own house from you? You're renting a house that was about to be foreclosed, I said evenly. I prevented you from being homeless, but I'm not giving it to you for free after what you said about my son. This is insane, she snapped. I'm serious. You can sign the lease or move elsewhere. Those are your choices. Soon, my father and brother joined the call. This is extortion, my brother said. It's business, I replied. I own property, and I'm offering it below market rate. You can accept or decline. We're your family, my father said weakly. Family doesn't steal inheritance money. Family doesn't insult children. Family doesn't disappear for years and return only when they need cash. You can't do this to us, my mother cried. I already have, I said calmly. You have until the end of the month to decide. What if we can't afford it? My father asked. Then find something within your budget, like everyone else. I've offered a fair solution. My brother's voice dripped with anger. You're enjoying this. I'm not, I said. I'm protecting my family. Grandma tried to teach me this lesson years ago. I just didn't want to see it. Don't bring her into this, my mother yelled. She's already in this. This house is now an investment for my son's future. The same son you insulted. The rent will go toward his college fund, just as Grandma's inheritance was meant to help me. The call devolved into shouting, so I hung up. From that point on, the property management company would handle everything. No more emotional manipulation. 2 weeks later, I got word. They'd signed the lease. They stayed, but as tenants, not family. Flying home, I felt lighter than I had in years. My son met me with a hug and chatter about soccer. Did you take care of everything? He asked. Yes, sweetheart, everything's done. Good, I missed you. Looking at his reflection in the mirror, I knew I had made the right choice. People might call my actions harsh, but protecting your child from toxic family isn't cruelty, it's responsibility. Grandma would have been proud. 3 years passed. The rental income, $1,800 every month, went straight into my son's college fund. Ironically, the house my brother's failures almost cost them was now building my son's future. My parents had become reliable tenants, proof that people can act responsibly when they must. They maintained the home, paid on time, and followed the lease. All communication went through the management company. My brother moved out 6 months later, unable to handle living in a house I owned. I later heard he finally got a steady job, the first in his life. Sometimes, hitting bottom is what forces growth. My son, now 15, is thriving in school and dreams of becoming an engineer. He's never met his biological grandparents. When he asks about them, I tell him the truth. Some people can't form healthy relationships, and that's okay. You can choose your own family, those who truly care. My husband's parents have filled that role beautifully. They attend every game, every birthday, every milestone. They've shown my son what unconditional love really means. Then, one day, I got a call from the property manager. My parents wanted to buy the house back. They'd been living responsibly, saving money, and offered $380,000, a fair deal. After talking with my husband, I declined. The house now represented more than money. It symbolized boundaries, accountability, and strength. It was proof that manipulation doesn't always win, and that painful lessons can create generational stability. My son will inherit that house one day, along with the story of how his mother turned betrayal into security, and how his great-grandmother's wisdom guided it all. He'll understand that real family isn't defined by blood, but by loyalty, respect, and consistency. I often think about Grandma, especially when I'm helping my son with homework or cheering from the sidelines. She never met him, but her influence shapes how I raise him every day. She taught me that love isn't about comfort, it's about protection and growth. Recently, my son found her old letter in my jewelry box and asked to read it. When he finished, he said quietly, "She sounds like she really loved you. I'm sorry your parents were so mean to her." "She did love me," I said softly, "and she would have loved you too. She always said the best revenge is living well and raising good kids." "Is that what you did? Get revenge?" he asked. I smiled. "No, not revenge. Justice. There's a difference between hurting someone and protecting your family." He nodded, taking it in with maturity beyond his years. Looking back, I realized my parents had given me an unintended gift. By showing me what selfish love looks like, they taught me how to build real love. By stealing my inheritance, they forced me to create my own stability, stronger than money ever could. And by insulting my son, they revealed who they truly were, freeing me to stop hoping they'd change. Not every story ends in forgiveness. Sometimes, peace means accepting you deserved better, and giving the next generation exactly that. My son will never question his worth, his love, or his place in this family. He'll grow up knowing that real family invests in your future. They don't take from it. Grandma would be proud of what we built from the lessons she left behind. Someday, when my son has children of his own, he'll understand why some people are worth standing by, and others are worth letting go. That's the real inheritance she gave me. Not money, but wisdom, and that legacy only grows stronger with time.